Hello, I am doing my reaction video on Laura Bohan's article of Shakespeare in the Bush. Bohan, and it starts out in her article telling you about her mindset of naive universalism. Naive universalism is the assumption that human nature and emotional experiences are identical no matter where you are in the world, and that with great literature, it can be interpreted the same way no matter where you are, what culture you have, and things of that nature. She comes to learn through her travels and telling the story that that's not the case. For example, when she's in West Africa and she's visiting the Tiv tribe and she tells them the story of Hamlet, they take the story and rewrite it essentially to fit their culture and their dynamics of their life there in Africa and how they see the world and how they live their daily lives. Essentially, this article is to show how worldview is different, and we need to go into it with open eyes and taking the time to learn and understand others as well. So, like a Western audience like us, America, we see King Hamlet's ghost that is a soul returning from the dead who wants justice for what happened to them. But in the Tiv tribe, the dead don't walk, they don't come back, there aren't ghosts in their world. They see ghosts as an entity of like an omen or a zombie, something witchcraft related. So they change the story or the plot essentially. While Westerners view Hamlet as a tragic hero in crisis, the T view him as a dangerous, arrogant young man because in their culture, elders rule is that's just it. Whatever the elders say is what goes. Youth don't question the elders. Bohan genuinely believes that her Western interpretation of Hamlet is the only correct one because of how she is objective to her own experiences of learning about Hamlet. She didn't like when the elders of the tribe would disagree with her or would stop her in the middle of the story to ask questions because they weren't understanding or they were curious about something. Which goes to show how ethnocentric biases can play a role when dealing with naive universalism. Essentially, we know that the story of Hamlet is a tragic story. It's sad, right? However, in the story, there are this brain focus. In the story where Gertrude and Claudius get married, we see that as scandalous or not caring for our our deceased husband, right? Um, However, the Tea elders actually praise Claudius because of their practices and how they view marriage, and how a widow is supposed to quickly marry after the death of a husband to maintain social stability and economic protection for her children. Um, so for them, it's okay and it's normal. However, we, Western cultures, don't see it that way, and that's okay. That's where worldview and culture plays a part, and where everyone is different. Um, my proposed best practice for intercultural communication is epistemic humility, meaning suspending the need to be right and recognizing that other people are operating on a different terrain or different level, or different in a different light. We see that Bohan finally stops fighting the elders in the article on whether it was a ghost or witchcraft or omen, and she stops with their rigid definitions and accepts their terms, the way that they are viewing the stories, and she from there her frustrating arguments turn into a collaborative exchange. So we should be asking open-ended questions to help us understand one another better, and treating them with respect, and showing our and us trying to be respectful. I've seen many cultural breakdowns happen between direct and inverse and versus indirect communication styles, and not even just group projects, but everyday life, because everybody is has different experiences and grows up differently and things of that nature, and that can play a role. Um, a person from a high context culture might use polite hesitation or silence to signal disagreement, rather than being direct and voicing their opinion to keep moving forward. Um, and that's even shown in Bohan's article, where how she's communicating with the elders of the Tiv tribe, and how there's so much disconnect. I think the most I've gained from reading the article is that none of us should enter a conversation without being neutral. It and that matters. And we need to not to try to not have the cultural blinders, like, and no, understanding that the way we speak or the way we think is not always going to come across in the same way we may mean to,